pitcher, Rick Reed.
Put it in the books. Huge game for Rick Reed.
Breaking ball gets him one away.
What a ball game for Rick Reed and the Mets.
I'm Howie Rose, and I'm joined today by someone who has not been around these parts in a long time, but it's a thrill to see him again. Really one of the best pitching acquisitions the Mets ever made. Rick Reed, who was part of the Mets pennant-winning team in 2000 and was basically an instant success when he came here, which did not exactly mirror your career before you got to New York. And I want to talk about the early days of your pro career and how it evolved from really the fringes to where you became a two-time All-Star.
Well, I think it started, early in my career. It was just I bounced back and forth. I was just happy to have a uniform and was still happy to have one late in my career. But something just didn't click. And when I got to sign with New York in '96 and had Bobby Valentine in AAA, just something clicked. I don't know what it was. Something about this organization that just something clicked. And then in '97, I was fortunate enough to make the team.
And when you say something click, there are very often in baseball and in any sport really people who can help make it click. You mentioned Bobby. He became the manager soon enough in 1996.
Right.
And then he brought Bob Apodaca with him to be the pitching coach. Let's talk about Dak for a minute. What was the immediate impact, if anything, that he had on making you a better pitcher?
Just on me all the time. You know, not only Dak, it was Randy Neiman, and then later on there was Dave Wallace. These guys just had so many years of experience as being a coach and seen a lot of great pitchers, and I picked up a lot of pointers from those guys, especially Dak. I think Dak really believed in me. Bobby believed in me because I had both of those in the minor leagues, both of those guys, and I pitched well there. But when they got manager and pitching coach respectively here, Bobby was a manager in Japan, and he was telling me, you want to make some money, I can try to get you in Japan, and we went to spring training in '97, and the first thing I do when I get to Florida is I go in his office and I say, what about this Japan thing? And he says, I'm working on it. And the games start. He tells me I'm pitching every 5 days. Great. Ended up having a great spring training, and just like after every start, I'd go in there, what's the deal? He'd say, just relax. And then something happened and I made the team.
So you were thinking all along, I'm going to Japan.
Yes.
And at the same time trying to make a big league ball club.
Yes.
Now, does that indicate that there was a little lack of confidence on your part about your ability to make the Mets, and that you had one eye on Japan and another eye that was hopeful of making a big league team?
No, it was really, I had options. I just felt like if I don't make it here, I there. If I don't do there, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, like I said earlier, I was glad to have a uniform. I just wanted to play ball, just play baseball, and that was it. That's what I grew up saying I was going to do, and I was fortunate enough and blessed enough to be able to do it.
Mets fans may or may not remember, because you got to go back a little while now, but in 1988, Mets were on their way to winning 100 games, and they were playing the Pittsburgh Pirates, who were very stubbornly hanging in the National League East pennant race that year. Well, come August, the Mets, these powerful Mets with a lot of big bats, run up against kid they'd never seen before pitching for the Pirates. Was it your first or second or third big league game, I think, right?
Major league debut.
That was your major league debut.
Yes.
And if I can use the colloquialism, you kind of shove the bats down their throats. Tell me about that game and the looks that you saw on some of the Mets hitters as they were going back to the dugout.
Well, it wasn't the looks. I was scared to death, to be honest. I'm facing Lenny Dykstra, Wally Backman, and the list goes on. And I'm thinking, here's a kid from Huntington, West Virginia, standing on the mound in Pittsburgh, and I'm facing probably the best team in baseball, and come out of there with a 1-0 win. How that happened, I have no idea.
Well, the funny thing is, they had the same comments after the game. They couldn't figure out how it happened because if you didn't see him, Rick Reed was not a guy who threw 97, 98 miles an hour. And so he'd mix it up, great curveball, terrific changeup, and those hitters were clearly frustrated, and they said some stuff after the game that you could have taken as an insult if you wanted to about how they felt that you didn't challenge them enough and stuff like that. Did that get to you? Did you even recognize what they were saying?
Well,
or read any of it?
I did see and read some, and I just laughed.
Yeah.
You know, I laughed about it. You know, I beat him. I beat him. And then, you know, after I make my major league debut, I go through several years, and then I end up in New York.
Right.
Well, it was the best thing ever happened.
But as impressive as that debut was, and it clearly was, what happened in between that made it unable for you to maintain that success?
I had a lot of GMs, or not a lot, a couple of GMs saying that I was not a AAA pitcher, I was a 4A pitcher. So it was like borderline. I just couldn't get over that hump. And you know, something happened, something clicked. I got with the right people, got with something, learned a lot, kept my mouth shut and my ears open, basically. And you know, when I was in Pittsburgh, there was Doug Drabick, Bob Walk, John Smiley, those guys, like, you know, they've been around, and I just pay attention to what they did. And later on, everywhere I went, if I go to a major league camp in the spring, I would, you know, I was with Texas, I would see Nolan Ryan, what he did. Well, nobody can keep up with that guy. You just could not do it. But you know, you had Kevin Brown, Kenny Rogers, how they carried themselves. And I believe that was a big part of it.
Well, you obviously learned something, because how Rick Reed carried himself as a New York Met is very instructive, because circumstances sometimes dictate that you have to do things you don't want to do to get to where you need to go. And when baseball was on strike in 1994, yes, they toyed with an idea, which they began to implement that spring before the strike ultimately ended, of using replacement players. And you became a replacement player, yes, even though they never actually played in a big league game during the regular season. What were the circumstances that led to that? And then let's talk about the ramifications.
Well, I had been up and down throughout my career, and I just wanted to play ball. Just wanted to play ball. And there was an opportunity. I was going to spring training with the Reds anyway, mm-hmm, so I thought, you know, let's go down there. Then all of a sudden this happened, and I was praying that everything would get worked out, and it did. But this was a chance for me to make a little bit of money to help my mother. She was struggling a little bit, and she still struggles right now to this day. And my wife and I help her out, and you know, we've got people that come in and sit with her. My dad passed away 6 years ago, and we bought a new house. We were going to move her into our house, and she just put a stop to that. I'm going to stay in my house. So that was the reason why I did it, was to make some money to help her. I didn't have money then. You know, I had minor league money, a little bit of big league money, but more minor league. And that was basically the reason why I did it. I did tell Cincinnati, now not a lot of people know this, that I was not going to pitch opening day. No way.
If they went with the replacement.
Yes, I'm going to Indianapolis, or I'm going home. And thank goodness they settled and all that. But after they settled, I went to AAA with the Reds and then got called up. And it was before I got called up, I think Davey Johnson was the manager then. And he says, they have a team meeting, you know, we're calling this guy up, and a lot of stuff was said. But, you know, and it's fun. It's not funny, but when I got there, my locker was next to the shower, bathroom, whatever. But you know what? My name was on that jersey.
He came on and was asked, either you join the replacement squad or we're going to release you, send you home anyway. And he decided to stay on the ball club. He's trying to feed his family. Rick Reed is.
When we step over those lines, we're all in this together. We're trying to do the same thing, trying to make it to the same place, and ultimately that was to win a ring.
Once you started playing some games, did you have any kind of relationship with the players, or did they kind of make you an outcast?
When I got to Cincinnati, Deion Sanders was still there, Lenny Harris, and they stood up for me. They said, "You don't know what this guy's been through. You haven't walked in his shoes."
Well, that's good to hear.
And yeah, that was kind of a relief. And
because here
and
it
it also helped that when I got there, my first game was against the Cubs, and I took a no-hitter into the sixth.
that'll help.
So that helped. So.
And you know, the Mets, you seemed the entire time you were with the Mets to be one of the guys. It didn't seem like there were any noticeable ramifications.
No,
of
there wasn't. Now, when I first got here in '96, I was in big league camp with them, and Dallas Green was the manager. And sort of, they have how they have their meetings, and I wasn't allowed in the meetings and all that, and I understood all that. But once I made the team in '97, a little bit. I did in '97 start the year off 13 scoreless innings.
Yep.
That helps a lot. So, and then it just built. I tried not to bring it up. They tried not to bring it up. For whatever reason, the players that were here when I made the team in '97, we sort of gelled as it was a family. That's how I felt. I don't know how they felt. Can't speak for them, but. We did go out to dinner. We did do this. We did do that. But it wasn't like we hung out all the time. But, I was eventually a part of that team, and I felt a part of that team.
And you had some great years here and some terrific games. One in particular, you took a perfect game, I think it was, pretty deep against the Tampa Bay Rays right at the beginning of interleague play. Were you starting to feel it as that thing progressed?
You know what, to be honest with you, I did. I did. I looked at that scoreboard every inning, and I saw that zero, or actually saw 3 zeros across there. So, yeah, if I had something going like that, you bet your hind end I was looking there.
Put it in the books. Rick Reed has his 7th win of the year, a complete game shutout.
Pitching in the World Series, was that the thrill of your career?
One of them. I think the biggest thrill of my career was when we had to win 3 games against the Pirates and praying that the Reds lost at least one, and going out and striking out 12, complete game, shutout, I believe it was.
Right here, 2-2 to Nunez. Put it in the books. The Mets are tied for the wild card.
And what an operation by Rick Reed.
That's probably the best game I ever towed the slab. But the World Series was ranks right up there too.
0-2 delivery. Strike 3 called.
So now that the career is over, and you were telling me this before we started, you haven't held a baseball in your hand for how long? And it was such a big part of your life?
Probably since I coached at Marshall University, which was in 2005.
Which is 14 years ago as we take this.
And then I watch it. I watch baseball, but I was done. When I retired from baseball, that was it.
Well,
and it was baseball, as they said on Saturday Night Live, been very, very good. It was very, very good to me.
Well, look, thanks to Jay Horowitz, who's done so much to sort of galvanize the alumni and bring them back. And one of the ramifications of that is that we get to see Rick Reed again, and it is just great to see you back in New York.
Great to see you, buddy.
All
Great
the
to see
best.
you. Thank you.
I'm Howie Rose. We'll see you next time.